Hey all, Lemmick9 here at Battletech Bastion. Just gonna do another how-to video for you guys. What I want to do is show you how to go from spray foam, which is used for insulation and stuff around like piping and whatnot. It's a gap filler, but it's a spray foam. Go from that to go and end up at like fire/smoke coat markers. It actually works really well. Looks kind of cool in a game, and it has multiple uses. So, what I first want to do is go through a list of supplies you're going to need. Or this is how I do it. So I'll go through a list of supplies that I use. First, a drill. You can just use a little pin vise, which is fine. A base. I play Battletechs, and I play on 1.5 inch hexes, so that's what I'm going to use here. Paper clip. You're going to want to get one of the big ones. For this, I'm going to be using super glue gel. Obviously, you're going to need a can of spray foam. You can pick it up at any hardware store. You can get smaller ones. I think I got this for like, it's less than 10 bucks a can. It's well worth it. Now for this, I'm using multiple different brands of paint. Obviously, you're going to need, I start off with black. If you're going to be doing fire, you're going to be needing several different shades. You're going to be needing reds to yellow. For this, I'm using Folk Art Lipstick Red, My Studio Bright Red, Folk Art Pure Orange, Folk Art School Bus Yellow, and I'll also be using Folk Art Sunny Yellow. And that's what I'll be using for the fire markers. Now, for the smoke and the grays, I will be using 4 shades of gray here. I'll be using a dark gray from Folk Art, medium gray from Folk Art, a battleship gray from Folk Art, and dove gray from Folk Art. Now that's just a list of supplies you're going to need. But there is an optional supply you can use if you want. Polyacrylic. Again, I like using this on foam. Gives the foam a little extra durability. Okay. One thing you need to do is you need to take your paper clip and straighten it out. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight. But just, matter of fact, you don't even need the whole thing. You only need to straighten part of it out. And you're going to want to cut that off. So, let me get my cutters here. They're not the greatest, but hey, they work. Alright. Got it straight enough for what I need, for what we need here. Put it down. Get rid of these here quick. Take your, actually this is a pin vise, just kind of get it in the center of the base or whatever. Simple, draw a hole through. The base I'm using is wood, so pretty simple to go through. Pull it out. Okay, now for this I'm using super glue gel. Just cheap stuff that I picked up at the dollar store. Put a little dab on the top of the base. Actually, you can put a big dab if you want. Doesn't really matter. Now this is something that I do. I wipe a little bit of the top part of the paper clip that I'm going to shove through. Push it on through the bottom, up through the super glue. the whole way up through. You might want to add a little bit extra super glue at the base, and you'll see why in a minute, of the gel. Alright, that's this way. When it dries, it'll give it a little bit extra support to the paper clip. Now I'm going to use some zip kicker to just dry this glue right away. And this is what we're at right so far. You're gonna want to straighten that out a little bit, but for now, that's where I'm sitting at. Okay, now I've got this piece prepared, all straightened out. Everything's dried, ready to go. You want to take your expanding foam and start putting some on the base. Now they normally come with like a long tube and a trigger, but I unfortunately lost that, so I won't be using one. Something else I forgot to add as far as list of supplies you'll need is like popsicle stick, a straw. I'll actually be using a straw, and you'll see why, for moving the foam around if you have to. I like using the straws because they're cheap and I don't care if I throw them out. So, okay, had a little problem that sometimes occurs with these cans. Sometimes the nozzle get clogged up, and well, I had to fix that. So, alright, so basically we want to spray some foam on here quick. And this stuff does expand. Now the reason I put the paper clip up there was to give some support to the foam as it's drying. Without that foam, it would be almost impossible to get it to stand up. So that the paper clip just gives it something to hold on to. Get the other side here quick. Now you don't have to get the whole way to the top, which is not that big of a deal. But you want to get a few, get it on there, you know. I've actually seen this method used to do like rocket blast, smoke trails for like, you know, rockets shooting off, or jetpacks, or, you know, different items. Or basically, you know, like I'm showing you, fire or smoke markers. So that will definitely help. But you gotta remember, this stuff does expand a lot more out. So, alright. Now I got most of it on. Any changes I want to make to it, it's leaning over a little bit, that's not that big a deal, is now, like if you want to do a little molding to it or change its basic shape, now is when you want to do it, because it's still, you know, it hasn't hardened yet. So now is definitely the time to do it. Making any changes or whatnot, you know. But I'm going to leave it as is, just to let it dry. Now, you want to give this, yeah, I got it on my finger too. You want to give it about a good 2 or 3 hours. I actually let mine sit overnight before I start doing anything else to it. Now, if you don't have it so high up that, excuse me, to cover the top of the paper clip, it's not that big a deal. Wait about half an hour, and then you can add some more to the top, and then it'll be fine. Alright, let's move this out of the way. Oh, good. Okay, well, I do have one that I made earlier, and this is basically what you can wind up with. Basic shapes here. But you can make it as big or as small as you want, just as long as you remember that it will and does expand. So, okay, just always remember that. Don't put on less than you actually want, because, like I said, it's going to get bigger. Okay. Now, this one is, like I said before, this one's been has been dried overnight. It's been dried for like 24 hours. It's all good. Now, if you're going to use the optional polyacrylic, now is the time to put it on. Like I said, if you're going to put this on, before you put any paint on, now is the time to put it on, because it can smear it slightly. Of course, that can cloud your paint job up. But if you're going to put it on now. I've actually already put a coat on. It dries to like a satin clear finish, but it does have a bit of a sheen to it, if you can really see. But if you're going to put it on before you put any paint on. So, okay. I want to start off with some black here. Like I said, I'm using apple barrel. It doesn't matter. Use house paint if you want, because this is just, you don't need much. Do want a piece of paper or cardstock, whatever, to brush off any excess. So I'm going to grab my brush here, pretty wide brush, not that big a deal, and just basically put a coat of black on first. You want to make sure to get everything coated. Now, if you're going to be doing the fire, you can skip the black if you want, but I like putting the black on because it's just easier for me to see what's been painted and what hasn't. Because when I get to the fire colors later, like especially with the lightest color, I may not get 100% coverage, and if I have the black on, I'll be able to tell. Of course, it helps if I hold on to it. So there's this. I just put the black. But if you're going to be doing this just for like smoke or like a dark cloud to obscure line of sight, I would definitely put the black on first, because a lot of clouds are dark in the middle, and this just helps. Okay, now I just gotta wait for this is completely covered in black. Now I just gotta wait for it to dry. Okay, it's dry now, so I'm gonna start painting on the flame colors. The way I do it is I start at the bottom and work my way up. So I'm gonna start with the brightest color, sunny yellow. So that's up. Now, I will paint the entire thing over with sunny yellow. You don't have to do that, but I do that just, you know what, I don't know why I do it. That's just how I do it. So, you want to make sure to get into the cracks here, because that's pretty much once it's all said and done where the colors are going to show through after you're done painting on the smoke colors. So Okay, I've got the first flame cover on. I did put it on a little heavy, so I'm going to have to stop for a moment or two and let the paint dry. No big deal. I'll come back in a minute.